Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of 120 Days of Movie Podcast. This is Chuck.
This is Daniel.
And this is Brendan.
I should have introduced the movie first, actually. I like I'm just trying to
You think so?
change it. Yeah, maybe. So we saw Memoir of a Snail by Adam Elliot. This is episode 60. And yeah, it was an Australian stop motion film that was out last year. And yeah,
Mhm.
it was Brendan's recommendation. And yeah, do you want to give a quick synopsis, or you want me to? I can go pretty quick.
Yeah, I can say a quick summary. So it's about
Okay.
this woman named Grace, who basically the film opens up with her friend dying, and then she's at the burial grounds, and then she's talking to her favorite snail, and then the movie is just her talking about everything about her life from the moment she was born, basically, until present day, which is when she's at the bench talking to the snail.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good
And a
way to
little
put it.
after. And a little after.
Yeah,
It kind
and
of
a little
finishes up.
after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I just want to say I love this movie. Like this is exactly like when I found out what it was about, like this is exactly what I wanted from the movie. I'm so
Nice.
happy.
No, I'm glad you liked it so much. I was gonna
Yeah.
say he made another film like in 2009. I think it was called Mary and Max, and a lot of people like that movie a lot as well. And I think it's the same thing. It's a stop motion.
I think Dan, you've seen that, right?
Yeah, I saw it like literally like probably 2010 or something like that. And yeah,
Oh,
it's really good.
cool.
It's funny, yeah, it's very good. I hadn't thought about that movie. This is not my criticism of it, but I hadn't really thought about Mary and Max in years and years and years. But watching this movie, I was like, oh yeah, like this director, and he must be the writer and at least partial animator. I should probably look that up. Um, has a very well defined style, clearly, like both not just the visuals, but like the sort of tone of the story and sort of um, sense of humor, and even kind of like the frame story in Mary Max is very similar, where it's like kind of characters telling the audience their story. So if you like
Oh,
this,
that's
either
cool.
of you, I know Brendan does at least. Yeah, you would definitely like Mary and Max.
Okay. So yeah, definitely added to my list.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is I don't remember last time we watched an animated movie, and I don't think we watched an animated movie with like adult themes like this one. But
Mm,
yeah,
that's
no,
a good point.
it was a good fresh like a breath of fresh air. Just that fact of like
Definitely.
there was a lot
Yeah.
of weirdness, but it like really added to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought it was funny how like I think the first thing that I realized that I'm like, oh, this is like a rated R thing was her parents being her adopted parents being swingers.
Yeah.
Right.
Or when the snails were just
And
like when they're young and then they see the snails and they're excited and then they just start mating.
I
yeah.
actually thought that was not even like that bad. I was like, oh, like that's a little silly. I still thought it
Oh,
was a
okay.
kids. I just thought like, oh, that's a little risque for like a kids movie. But then the swinger stuff happened, and I looked it up.
Well,
I'm like, oh, this is
yeah.
like rated R.
I didn't realize. Yeah, until literally until you said it, I was like, yeah, of course it's rated R. Because not even more than the swinger scene, which is all black. There's some nudity. It's obviously like
Oh yeah.
claymation, but like
Oh,
there
I
is some
thought that
nudity.
happened later when she man, it's been a while since I've seen this. It's been a week or
Oh,
two.
really? The, yeah, it's when it is the foster parents.
Hmm.
Um, and Pinky actually at one point we see Pinky's nips at one point. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
like yeah, when they're go to a nudist colony, so there's nude, there's everyone's naked.
Hmm. No, yeah, it's so funny. It really is like actually pretty funny.
Yeah,
I
it
I
is.
like
Yeah.
It is.
yeah, there was a lot of good humor. Um, it was very depressing too. I I I I didn't know it was gonna be that depressing before watching it. It was kind of
Ye- I
like
completely agree.
it took me for surprise.
Mm.
Yeah, like I'm glad it ended the way it did because like everything that Grace went through, I was like, damn, like no one should go through all this.
Yeah, she just like had a horrible life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Everyone she knew died.
And
Yeah.
And you feel bad for her twin too. Like her twin
Mm.
goes through even more than she does, maybe.
Well, that's the
yeah.
thing. She even says that like early on, and this it just sort of adds to the tragedy in a way because she's sort of being unfair to herself. But she says like you know, as bad as I felt like my life was, like I got the better family. Like I think that's what she says. I got the better family, and then it cuts and shows him
Mhm.
Gilbert, who's like basically living with a cult. Really, is what they are.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, it's just they're both in terrible situations. And I don't know. One is almost. I mean, we can get into the themes, but it's almost like one is almost a little bit more like Gilbert's so willful and resilient, and like that was like his role in their dynamic that it's almost like I'm not even sure what I'm getting at. Just he's
Well,
maybe
yeah, he made a better he had a better
right.
attitude about his situation. The fact that he was so rebellious and he was fighting back
Yeah,
against his family,
Yeah.
and also the
yeah.
fact
He's
that
sort
he
of
kinda, like, he finds himself too, which is also kinda powerful, like,
mhm,
the fact
mhm.
that, like, yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, me too. It's
Ye-
like he is such a great. I mean, basically every character is really fleshed out, even the minor ones, because they're sort of so human. But like he's so. I mean, I use the words willful. You use the word rebellious. He's almost like he's like the one. He's sort of this such a hopeful character compared to his sister Grace. Not that she's like awful or anything, but just like yeah, he just sort of even I think of the scene, the horrible sort of getting ahead of ourselves, but like the awful like again another shockingly dark and kind of disturbing moment where they're doing shock therapy on
Yeah, on the
we can
kids.
call it
Yeah.
that. Yeah, on Gilbert and Ben, I think is the son their son's name. Because I guess for anyone who maybe hasn't seen it, because Gilbert and one of his foster brothers kiss or in a relationship, they're gay and they're or find out or whatever, experimenting. I'm not sure, it's not really said explicitly. And the family freaks the fuck out because they're awful. And anyway, just in that scene, Gilbert breaks out and like it goes to attack his foster mother, and it's like even and burns down the fucking church. Anyway, it's just yeah, he's never ever defeated. You know.
Yeah. But I felt so bad when he was like basically burned alive in the
Mhm.
church, and he was screaming like to let him out. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
believe that, which I guess I shouldn't have.
Yeah, and they were, like, so
Yeah.
happy that he died. They're like, "Yes, he's gone."
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Oh, it's really yeah. It's really like this. It goes into Chuck what you said earlier that it's like you're watching. There's some really dark shit in this movie. Honestly. Um.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
and I like, it just gets it never really, like, gets better. It's kinda funny because,
Mhm.
like, you just kinda get, like, a change of perspective through, the older character, her friend.
Mhm.
Nipple is her
Mickey.
name Nipples? Okay.
No, his name is not
You
Mickey.
said Nip
No, I said you. Yeah, I said you see. Yeah, no, her name is
Okay.
Pinky. Her French nipples.
That's the kind of humor we have on this
Yeah,
podcast.
right.
Yeah, only the top tier, highest brow. So yes, I love her as a character because she just kinda changes the perspective of everything. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
life sucks and you kind of just have to, uh, g like, you have to look at it, from a better, like, lens sometimes.
Mm. Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
I
You have
think
to power
even
through.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think like even I was just thinking about like to that end, like it's even it's just it's sort of a movie that I think like shows sort of the ugliness of life, but almost in that way, it's like this all sounds sort of hopeless putting it this way, but it's like as opposed to like thinking about I wish my life was this way or that way, or I wish it was better, or it should be better. I should be better. There's something wrong with me for being this way. Instead, it's, you know, I don't know, like accepting who you are or recognizing what you can change. I don't know. Um, but I just, it's like interesting, even just in like in the style, in the art style, which is like really in a way kind of not that nice to look at. Like characters
Mhm.
are don't not look good. Um, it's almost brings, I think, this like authenticity, like, um, I don't know, like it makes it maybe a little, I guess, a little more relatable potentially. Like there's no judgment in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I do
Every
love like the. Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
No, you started, I don't care.
I was I was gonna say I do love the hopeful ending in two ways. One, um, when Grace after reading, wait, because what was her name? Frenchie? or no?
Who?
What
Oh,
was it?
the old lady, the
Pinky.
friend.
Yeah. Oh, Pinky.
Pinky. Yeah,
Yeah.
because remember she lost her pinky dancing in Barcelona.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
they
So
built her pinky.
after reading her final, I guess, will or message to her,
Mhm.
um, even after believing that like her brother died and everything that had happened to her, she still went to I guess, the film school to pursue like the
Mhm.
only dreams she had. And then on top of that, the double hopefulness was, which I like this scene to me, just that one phrase that he said, which was like a callback to when he said it when they were kids, when her brother's like, "Oh, do you believe in magic?" When she asked,
Mhm.
"Does anyone have any questions?" I was like, "Wow, that's so powerful." Because that was like, not only was it a callback to the beginning, it was like, "Yeah, do you believe in magic that I'm alive?" But then, do you believe in magic that like life can get better?
Mm. Yeah, there was a lot of. It's always an. I think maybe all of us are sort of suckers for this sort of thing, where there's a lot of like returning imagery and like returning phrases, like which in fact is alluded to get a little nerdy. Like I think is alluded to at the very beginning of the movie, because throughout the whole movie, a lot of the characters, particularly that Gilbert and Grace and her father, they're always reading, you know. And the first two books that we see, Grace and Gilbert reading, Grace is reading "Life Cycle of a Snail," and um, Gilbert's reading, I think, a life cycle of flies or something, but just like life cycle, like immediately sort of foreshadowing this, like, I don't know, just like the cyclical nature. And like right at the end, they like turn their father's jelly bean jar into ashes, his urn, and then they turn Gilbert's urn, which isn't really filled with his ashes, into a jelly bean jar. Like just everything kind of like flips around and changes.
Yeah,
And I don't know, that's just always sort of a fun thing.
I didn't even realize that. That's like a really nice little like flip.
yeah,
Yeah. Like it's there's like maybe a couple other examples that maybe I'll remember as we're talking, but yeah, it's just this sort of like kind of life goes on and things kind of meet and match in the middle, and um yeah, just it's sort of nice. It feels sort of very kind of poetic in a way, sort of short story-ish, parable-ish.
Mhm.
yeah,
It wasn't like like a crazy grand story either. It's kind of a simple tale.
Hmm. Well,
yeah,
and the thing too, like, is we don't even at the end of the story, we don't exactly know how old they are, but they can't be that old. I mean, they're still two young people. Like
Yeah,
they
I
have
assume that
their
they're like
whole
in their 30s, I guess.
yeah, maybe
yeah,
right. Like yeah, because it's like it's a little hard to tell because it's like Grace almost gets married. Like there's kind of things that it's like okay, how fucking old are you? But um, yeah, like I think even that is sort of purposeful in like Grace at one point. Like we haven't necessarily even talked about the fact that really her trajectory is essentially she I mean goes into a pretty deep depression,
Mm.
um, and then is sort of almost jolted out of it partially by the fact that she thinks Gilbert dies and everything, and like this sense of hers of like like she says multiple times like I have nothing in my life, I'm wasting my life away. And
yeah,
I think part of the tragedy of that is like, well, Grace, like, you're 20 years old or something, and it doesn't invalidate the feelings. But I think that's sort of purposeful where it's like you and the audience can recognize, like, oh, like, it's not, I can see in you, in this other character, like, it's not over, like there's always tomorrow, there's always now. Like, just because of what's happened doesn't mean you can't, it's never over for you.
yeah.
Yeah. I also really like how this is I don't know if this is like explicitly said somewhere, but I feel like this is like very meta in for the director because I bet that he fell in love with and I don't know if he kind of like sees himself in the main character as Grace, but the fact that she finds love in like animation and
Mm-hmm,
making
mm-hmm.
art. So like
Oh yeah,
like so it must be like something where a lot of these characters maybe were real to him. Maybe he has like a twin or something. I didn't do enough
Mm.
research to be honest.
Easy
hmm
enough to find out.
I was making stuff up, but I kind of get
Mm.
that feel from this kind of movie, like the fact that like everything feels like this could be a real person.
for sure.
Yeah, and even if it's something what like I just quickly looked and it looks like the director he does have siblings. I don't think he's seen anything about a twin, but even if it's not, he's Grace and he really has a twin that was this way. It's sort of like I think everyone can relate to some of Grace's feelings of like sometimes I think we all we all kind of place limits on ourselves. And then there's always either a real person or sometimes even like an imagined person, and like that you sort of. I feel like Gilbert for Grace as like wasn't just her brother, wasn't just her best friend, wasn't just like her protector in some cases, but almost I think represented like this sort of spirit that like she would want to strive to, like which is we were talking about before, that like he's hopeful and he's willful. He's sort of a lot of the things she's not, or at least not at the beginning of the movie. So I feel like that dynamic, like that feeling, I don't know. Even if you don't have like a twin yourself or a sibling or something, I think everyone maybe has felt that, has that dynamic somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Ano-
nope, you started. I don't care.
I was gonna say another random imagery that I really liked was at the very end when they do throw their father's ashes. It creates a spiral similar to that of the snail's
Mhm.
thing. I thought that was really cool. That was like a great way to end it.
hmm This made me
Yes.
think of
Yeah.
there's like an anime and like a what's it called? It's like a manga called Uzumaki. But it's
Oh
like
yeah,
not
Mhm.
yeah, it's about like spirals and it's about like the world ending and everyone's obsessed with spirals. But it's not it's a horror it's like it's horror, so it's like I thought of it, I'm like, this is not that kind of movie.
yeah,
You're right. Like, but unless it's really that, like, it's 4D that it's this movie's making you obsessed with spirals. It's like infecting you with, yeah.
I like yeah,
How
that's kinda how I felt.
right,
And
everywhere you look now.
there is a character in Uzumaki where they turn into a snail. So, I mean,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I
okay.
mean, yeah.
Inspiration
Of
from
Yeah,
course.
maybe yeah, they cooked, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's too late for us and we don't even realize it. We've already it's
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of how I felt, to be honest. I don't know. But, yeah, no, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought this was, like, kind of like a breath of fresh air. I wanna see, like, more
Mm,
things like this.
yeah.
yeah,
There
yeah.
were
It was.
also times when like I forgot I was watching a claymation movie because I thought it was like really smooth.
Mm. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's impeccable animation. Yeah, it's like wild. Um, like I don't know if you guys, I've probably brought it up before. Like ever watched Wallace and Gromit like as a kid, like those old like '90s shorts,
I
and
Yeah,
know
they
what
look
you're
I've
really
talking
watched.
about.
good. Yeah, they look good. They hold up. There's particularly one. I think maybe it's the earliest one. It's at least the earliest ones I've ever seen. Where like you go back now and like artistically, like you can tell exactly what's happening. It's great character design, like and everything like that. But it's like, ooh, I would never forget that I was watching clay dolls essentially.
Yeah,
It's crazy how far we've come. And I wonder if is it just the technique of the animators, or is there a technological element? Like I don't know, like with better cameras, can you get more frames or something? I have no idea. Guess I could look into it. But
I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
soon.
wonder, and I bet he was. I bet. I mean, to be honest, he's probably inspired by like the person who made Wallace and Gromit. Like,
mm,
just the fact that like I don't know. I feel like there's not that many stop motion movies.
no, I think it's
Yeah.
incredibly time like tedious and time consuming and labor intensive to do it. I think it's like
hmm
you really have to. I mean, like you very much have to be dedicated, I think, to the art form, because if you were just trying to make an animated movie sort of as quickly as possible or as cheaply as possible or with the least amount of labor as possible, you would not ever, I think, go to claymation. Really. I mean, I guess
hmm
maybe it doesn't cost that much, actually, now that I say that, but it takes forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like labor, and you have to actually be like have unique skills, I
Oh,
guess.
sure. Yeah, of
hmm
course. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Because there actually, now that we're talking about all this, I'm like remembering there's a movie called Annalisa. Who,
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
it's
Anomalisa, right?
Annalisa, and it's by what's his name, Charlie Kaufman. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh,
Mm,
and I'm realizing, like, that's also like a claymation that was like that has
mhm,
adult themes. So I'm just like now I'm like, all piecing together. Maybe he's also inspired by that. I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Did you
Who
watch it,
knows?
by the way?
I did watch. I did like, and I liked it too. I thought I probably liked this more than I liked that.
Okay.
mm.
What would you say?
I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list.
Oh,
I was
okay.
curious what you thought about it.
No, I like it. There's some things I like. I don't like, but
Mhm.
yeah, no, every Charlie Kaufman thing is really good. Just the fact that like he's kind of a crazy person.
Yeah. I also
But
like the color that they used for this film, just like
yeah,
the
very
grayness.
gray.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Well, her
It made
really
me
foster
sad.
parents, their favorite color was beige. She said it.
Oh,
Oh
did she
yeah.
actually? Did they actually say that? That's funny.
Yeah, she says, yeah, her foster family's favorite color is beige. But granted, they're basically their entire world is beige.
Hmm.
Which is like Mary and Max is almost entirely, if I remember right, is all like black and white with occasional flashes of red. That's like its kind of color palette.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I should start taking notes during movies. I don't know why I'm not. I'm not taking my craft seriously at all.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
critical craft. Yeah, I very occasionally take notes, but I get lazy. Sometimes if it's a movie that I'm not gonna it's so dense that I'm not gonna be able to remember my thoughts. I'll jot it down. But
Mm. So
yeah.
that means, on that note, you probably wrote a lot of notes for Home Alone 4.
Yes.
Yes, yes. I wrote
Dan's
all
favorite
about the
movie.
You're right. The like sort of metaphorical, symbolic implications of the smart house. You know what that says about
Mm.
modernization and the sort of isolation that we feel. You know when we're surrounded by sort of technological modernity and innovation and
And
industrialization. You guys get it. You
and
know
the very
Yeah, of
subtle
and
course.
callbacks to the Disney Channel movie Smart House.
exactly
Yeah,
yes, the
yeah.
1999 classic Smart
Hmm.
House.
Yeah, they must have
Yes.
pulled a lot of influence from that. I think those directors
Yeah.
really work together in a lot of films.
Me too. In fact, I think the director of Home Alone 4, whose name is, of course, something, was, I think, actually a student of the Smart House School of
Mhm.
Cinematography.
Yeah, they
So,
did their
yeah,
studies in,
definitely.
yeah, in France.
Yeah, France. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. There's some
uh,
French touches, some French
yeah, like
flourish.
like they did it in Paris, but like to Paris, Texas. Like,
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah. Uh-huh.
that was gonna be the movie we were gonna watch instead, right? It was up to that or this.
Yeah, I think you're
Oh
right.
yeah,
Right?
it was Paris, Texas. This, and I forgot the other one I mentioned. I think it was.
Like Leaving to Die or something.
Oh no, it was Lilia Forever.
Oh, well, okay. Actually, it was not that at all. But
Yeah, Living to Die.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, well, actually, if you think about it, Living to Die, that's what Grace was basically doing, just living, waiting to die
Mm.
until she had that push.
true.
She
Yeah,
was comfortably numb in her depression.
yeah. If you,
Yeah, she accepted
the
her.
really sad way to think about it. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, she built a cage for herself, like Pinky said,
exactly.
but there was no lock
But I
Yeah.
mean,
or something. Yeah,
Pinky's dead, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah. It doesn't. Once you're
Yeah,
dead,
yeah,
it's over.
yeah. It's yeah. You'll be forgotten one day or another.
Right.
We're giving Brendan next existential crisis. He's like, shut up.
No.
Yeah.
No, I
I'm
really
gonna
did
live
enjoy
forever.
Pinky's character, just because,
Yeah, she
like,
was.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
great.
yeah, once you also find
She
out
was
her
nice,
backstory.
yeah. She was a great. What's it called? Breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, another character I think that I mean, again, I'm just describing basically the themes of the movie, but like, another she looks up to this like very liberated character that like she has this super storied life and um, never limited herself. But by the way, I love in the sort of like flashbacks when Pinky's talking about her life, or I guess Grace is telling us about Pinky's life. Pinky is still always a little old lady. like
Yeah,
when it talks
yeah,
to
Yeah.
like she was like an exotic dancer or something at some point, and it's just little old Pinky. It's just funny.
yeah. I love the sense of humor. It was very Australian, very dry.
Is that what Australians are known for? Dry
Dry
humor?
humor? I don't know. Actually, that might be a good point.
I don't
At
know.
least
I mean, it's a real question.
Eh,
the last Australian thing I've seen was Talk to Me, or the hand thing, the hand one.
oh yeah, talk to me.
Oh,
Talk to Me.
not a, not a
That
comedy, is
wasn't
it?
comedy though. That was definitely not a comedy.
Yeah,
I mean, you can probably look at it as a comedy, but
they're coming out with a new movie,
Yeah.
by the way.
Oh really? Oh, those
Mhm.
guys. Like, not a sequel. Please, not a sequel. I'm tired of
No, not a
sequels.
sequel.
Okay, cool. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I hope that it's a. I didn't like the ending. I will say I didn't like the ending of what's that? Talk to me.
Oh yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, I love the premise. The premise was really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, but for Memoir of a Snail, all of it was good.
Can
It was a good ride.
can I go into a negative I have though? Just
Go
to
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah, we've been
yeah.
gushing over it, so I would love to
Yeah,
hear
it's
that.
very good. Yeah, I'm not gonna ruin it. Felt a little bit rushed to me. The ending in particular. Like it turns out
Yeah,
Gilbert's alive, and then it's like 5 minutes later and the movie's over. Like maybe not even 5 minutes. It's like the end of the movie, which I guess isn't that weird. But I don't know. It felt like there was all this preamble. Like it's their life with their father, then their lives with their foster parents, then Grace's foster parents are all away, then she meets Pinky. Like there's all, which is there's all these kind of events that are kind of it's a little bit slice of lifey, which is fine. Like you're kind of going around. It just feels like the actual like big plot moments of the movie, like the things that
Mhm.
I feel like if you were going to describe, well, what tell me what happens, like all of that takes place very quickly. Like even Gilbert, when we think he's dead, like the scene of him being burned to death. I'm not saying we need to like show me all of it, but it's just like all of it. Just I just felt like there were some moments where I'm like, oh, okay, that was fast. Like that just I guess that just happened. Um, I don't know. Maybe did you guys get that sense at all?
yeah, I kind of did feel that, but at the same time, I was like, oh, it, I don't know. I definitely think it could have been longer, but at the same time, I was like, oh, this is animated, so maybe it did take a lot of
Mm-hmm.
time.
Sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Definitely.
maybe I like thought that like subconsciously, and I'm like, oh, like
That's
I
interesting.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good point though. I do agree with you. It did like the ending wasn't like rushed, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it could have taken a little more time. But I also just
Yeah.
wanted to watch more. Like that's kind of the other thing I was feeling. I'm like, oh, I just want to see more of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
I could definitely understand also, but for me, like personally, I thought the ending was great, and I guess like for
Mhm.
the type of movie it is, it's like what else more could they really explore after? Because
Mhm.
I guess the big climax was her like, okay, you know what, I am gonna start living my life, and then once
That's true.
we get this awesome like um what's it called? Once her brother is alive, and then we see them like getting together and living their life together. I mean, we can just assume now that they're gonna continue on doing what they want, and now that they have each other, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful way to kind of look at it too.
Yeah. You guys both make good points. That Chuck, like particularly like you saying, I just wanted to watch more. It's like, yeah, that may have been kind of what I was feeling too. Because Brendan, as you were kind of talking about, like, well, that's the climax and that's kind of the beautiful moment at the end. I realized it's like, yeah, I kind of just want to see. I don't know. I guess I wanted to see their lives now that they're
Yeah.
together. But that's almost just another movie. That's just
Mhm.
like, yeah, I want it to keep going, but that's just it's got to end somewhere.
Yeah.
W Was there any meaning to the books that they were reading at the end? Like, I think one of them was reading like The Catcher in the Rye.
No, one of them. So Gilbert was reading one of her romance novels, the ginger chested pirates or something, which I think was sort of a joke. Like I'm not
Mm,
sure what the joke. I mean, I guess that he's gay, but also just like it's sort of a fun read. I don't know. It's like maybe, I guess maybe in a way maybe it's like I can use this word, but like the liberation. Like he was always reading books, kind of. I feel like that seemed to be about like anger management or like existential crises, and then he gets back with his sister, and it's just kind of a light, fun read.
oh, that's a good way
And
to
then
yeah,
she,
that's kind
Yeah.
of a nice way to
yeah,
think about it.
right. And then what was she reading? Yeah, I noticed it too, but I don't remember.
I
I
could
thought
have
it was
It
sworn.
Catcher
was
in the Rye.
Yeah, I think it might have been because I remember that
I don't
book
know.
also being.
I
Which
think
is
he
weird.
may have been, but I think he may have been reading Catcher in the Rye because Grace at the earlier in the movie specifically describes her brother as like a combination of uh what is
Holden
his name?
Caulfield, yeah,
Yeah,
Holden
Holden
Caulfield.
Caulfield, James Dean, and someone else. Like three kind of rebel, well, I don't know, whatever you want to call Holden Caulfield, but three kind of rebellious sort of characters. Um, But I don't. Maybe that's what she was. I do remember thinking, "Oh, that's sort of a weird choice," and I didn't quite know what to make of it. Actually, now
AI is telling me that it was Gilbert who was reading it.
that was reading Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
Oh,
It kind of makes more sense to me, to be honest, because it's like he's. I don't know. I feel like what they were reading sort of is meant to kind of reflect where their mind's at.
Mhm.
yeah.
But let me see. I'm literally pulling up the movie and seeing if I can just go to the last scene.
They're not reading anything. We didn't even watch a
They're
movie.
not.
We're just
Yeah,
Yeah.
what? We have been.
Oh, and I'm saying now I was wrong. At the beginning of the movie, Grace is reading Life Cycle of a Snail, and Gilbert's not reading Life Cycle of anything. He's reading Lord of the Flies, is what he's reading.
that makes sense too.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. Yeah, just another kind of chaotic, everyone for himself sort
Mhm.
of.
hmm
I didn't get a chance to read whatchamacallit?
Lord of the
Lord of the
Flies.
Flies.
Lord of the Flies.
Me
Why
too.
can't
It's good. I read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. By the way, she was reading The Diary of Anne Frank.
Oh,
Yeah, and
that's a
like
weird book to read.
Oh yeah.
right, but it's sort of it immediately. It's like okay, so she's opened the door to her own cage, and then she's reading about someone who is trapped. Really, is hiding. What does that say? Like that she's. I don't know. Yeah, I remember thinking like, oh, that like clearly plays on these feelings of like entrapment and sort of and things, but how? I don't quite get it.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm also. I wonder if it makes more sense on a rewatch.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Pertamps,
I could
perhaps.
definitely see myself rewatching this in the
Oh
future.
yeah, this is a very easy movie, and it's also a great movie to
Mhm.
like recommend. I think.
hmm
Hmm.
Yeah, I would recommend it because it's good. I have to say, I was actually struck. We talked about it a little bit, but like, impeccable animation, great art style. Just, I'm not pretty ugly. Like, just like that's what it's striving for, and like sort of gross at times, honestly. Because I almost watched this with my wife. Like I said to her, I was like, "Oh, you might like this one if you went," and she just happened not to watch it. And as I was watching, I was like, "It's probably good she didn't watch this. I don't think she'd really like the way it looked. Like Pinky's finger coming off and falling in someone's drink, and
Hmm.
snails like
Oh
I
yeah.
don't even know what ejaculating all over the inside of a jar. It's just sort of like a pretty strange, unsettling movie for a lot of the time.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't, but I'd still recommend it. I think to the right people.
Yeah. For sure.
I was gonna say I'm ready to give my rating. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Excellent score.
Dan.
I think I will give it an 8.
Cool. I'm also 9, and rewatch. I know I'll give it like a
Nice.
9.5.
And
Nice.
another
Yeah, great.
rewatch will give it a 10. Okay,
Yeah. Oh, it's not a competition. Chill.
yeah.
relax.
Also a 9 for me.
Cool. And yeah, let's talk about things that we're watching, doing, experiencing. Who
Yeah. Who wants to
wants
go
to start?
first?
Okay, since you talked, you can go first.
yeah. Um.
Sucker.
What did I? Yeah. I can't remember movies that I saw recently, but I did watch this sci-fi show called Pantheon.
I don't think I've heard of
It's
that.
really cool. It's
It's
like an
cool.
AMC original, but now
Oh.
Netflix is
Don't even okay. Actually, don't even talk to me because you're watching AMC originals, but you haven't seen fucking Breaking Bad yet.
Mm. Yeah, that's a tough
I'll
step.
get to that snooze fest eventually.
Oh.
Dude,
Have you watched any of it? I know we've had this conversation before, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I
Did you watch
watched
like
the
the
whole
first
first
episode?
season.
it's
You
the
watched the
worst
whole
After
first
season.
season?
It's the
no,
worst season, dude.
the first season, the first full
Yes, it's
yeah.
the worst
Right.
season.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the worst. I still think season one's pretty good, but what do I know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I thought
so
it was all right
It
when I
good.
was
is the
watching it.
slowest season.
Oh my god.
I thought it was just all right when I watched it, but I remember I wasn't like in the US when I watched like the second half of season 1, so it
Mm.
was like hard for me to get back into it because there was like a good amount of time
Mm.
that passed. But
Yeah.
I
When
will.
was this, by the way? Like, is this a year ago? Is it 10 years ago? Like, what are we talking
Oh
about?
no, this was probably I'll say 6 years ago or something.
Okay. Yeah, I said 10 years ago. That would have been like as it was coming out, probably. But
Yeah,
okay. So it's been a while, though.
yeah. But it's on my list. But yeah, Pantheon, and then before that, I watched this anime called Bungo Stray Dogs. It was all right, a little overrated, but it was fine.
A little overrated is one of my favorite like ways to describe something.
Yeah,
Well, because it's sort of implicitly like, I know you like this, but I don't.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like the most like rude thing you can call something. Like over, like you're
yeah. Everyone else is wrong. I'm correct.
yeah. That's funny.
I've been on a show and then at nighttime I've been watching The Good Place. I'm almost done that.
Oh, oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is actually.
Nice.
Cool.
That's it
Dan, you
from
want to
me.
go next, or you want me to go?
You go because I'm trying to figure out what movie I'm gonna recommend.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I've seen a couple movies. So I wanted to talk about Paprika. It's the
Mm.
other Satoshi Kon movie that everyone talks about, and it's like Inception ripped it off. Basically, it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a fun movie. It's like a lot of crazy animation choices. Um, just wild. It's a great ride. I also watched a
Yeah, it's
movie
on my
called.
list.
I watched a movie called A Separation. This is like a Persian movie by I don't even want to I don't want to get in trouble for saying this guy's name wrong.
Because
But it's like about a married couple who are facing some issues. It was good. I liked it a lot. There was a lot of it was a good character film. I definitely
what was it called? What was the title?
separation.
Iranian.
Oh, Iranian. What did I say?
Separation.
Say Persian. Oh, I'm gonna get
Oh,
in
Persian.
trouble.
Persian. Yeah.
Oh no. No, but it was great. I liked it a lot actually.
Mm.
It kind of grew
Oh,
on
this
me.
is cool.
I watched it initially and I was like, oh, this is kind of meh. But then it
Mm.
kind of sat with me. I'm like, oh, that was good. You should shut up.
Would you recommend
It's
it?
always
Yeah, I would 100% recommend it. It's not
mm.
like gonna change your view on film, but it's a great movie.
Okay.
It's like a nice like slice of life. Like oh, like
Mm.
this is cool. Movie I wanted to talk about was Inside Out 2. Way better than the first one.
Oh,
Actually way better. I don't even know why people even talk like fondly about the first one. The second one is actually really good.
it's funny. I have
Oh,
not been one
cool.
following the discourse around that movie, but the sense I got was people generally felt the opposite. People like the first one think the second one's no good. Or am I
Okay, well
wrong?
they're truly wrong.
Okay.
They're
So in a way,
truly
you'd say that the first one's overrated.
yes. Oh, 100% the
Yeah.
first one's overrated.
By the way,
I actually thought the first one like gave me like was like one of the worst movies I've seen in a while.
Huh?
I wouldn't go that I wouldn't go that far, but when I saw it, I thought that wasn't very good. And everyone I saw it with like a group. You may have been part of that group, Chuck. Although I don't think so. I saw it with a group, and like everyone else was like, "Oh shit, that was like the best Pixar movie like ever. That was incredible. I loved it." Everyone I talked to felt like loved it, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like for one, I felt like it was just a retelling of Finding Nemo. That was kind of my take. But
No, I wish it was Finding Nemo.
No, I loved it. You
yeah,
guys
it's
are
not as good
wrong.
as my. No, Brendan, we're a democracy here, if nothing else, and 2 to 1 says it sucks. So I'm sorry. You've got to admit it.
No.
No, if I was watching in theaters with you, Dan, you'd just hear me booing the entire time.
Oh, dude, I'd
I'm
be
like,
right there with you, honestly.
it's
Like,
like he's like, oh wow, you're so brave for for booing.
yeah, these heroes in the audience. I literally now like want to rewatch this movie so I can just explain to you guys beat by beat like how I felt like every plot point in the movie had like a Finding Nemo equivalent, and it was just worse. Like literally, there's the part where they're at the bottom of our imagination, and that's just them being in the whale's mouth. It's like everything was like it just like tonally was exactly the same thing. I hated it.
I 100% agree. I don't even remember it, and I know you're right.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. So yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, true. But yeah, the second one is way better than the first. I actually enjoyed the second one a lot.
Maybe I'll check it out.
And you don't have to remember anything because the first one was so like inconsequential. Am I saying that
Hmm.
word right? Whatever.
Inconsequential.
You don't even need to watch the first one to enjoy the second one.
Right.
Um, and the other thing I want to talk about, I'm just reading a book. I'm starting to read fantasy.
Oh,
I'm reading A Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Really good. I'm a very slow reader, so I'm probably going to be talking about this book for like 5 years. So I'm like reading a page a day. I'm like, oh, that was a good page.
yeah, I love that.
On one
No, that's
page.
good. Nothing wrong with. By the way, you're not looking for praise or anything, but it's like people always talk about the speed they read. Like I'm not an especially fast reader either, and I just like I don't know the speed at which you read. I feel like is so unimportant, especially if you're reading for pleasure.
Oh yeah,
Like
who cares? Yeah.
just right. It's like just enjoy it or not. You know, like
Mhm.
if you can read half the book and you either hated it or worse, you read half the book but you can't fucking remember what you just read. Like what's the point?
Yeah, that's true. And I
Yeah.
was gonna say like I'm liking like I'm reading like 2 chapters a day, but there's fucking interludes. I'm like, bro, what is this, a movie? Like,
Mm. That's like a book I've never read, and maybe I never will read. But that may, Infinite. What is it?
oh, Infinite
Infinite
Jest.
Jest. Yeah, that apparently there's like was like this joke that it was like when it came out, it was the book that every New Yorker like had in their backpack and just like
Yeah,
never read because apparently it's like it's a bit just a big fucking book, but it's incredibly wordy and dense. And there'll be like these long ass passages that then there'll be like a footnote. Literally, there'll be like a footnote in the book, and you go to the back to see what you need to read, and it's like another massive passage. It's just like this unending,
bro.
uh, yeah, struggle.
Not
But
my
so anyway,
favorite.
yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been getting in myself into.
Cool.
hmm yeah, I was gonna say, Dan, what did you watch? What do you want to talk about?
Oh well, I definitely can. I watched quite a bit actually. This where's my? I need to pull up my list to remember. Give me 1 second. Sort by.
For
Of
1 second, so
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
added. Okay, here we go. Um, wait, how do you? Hmm. Is there a way to see like
Most
the
recent.
movies that you? Yeah, like you rated most recently
yeah,
on Letterboxd.
it's you have to go to
Sort by.
uh let me find it for you. Go to your name, go to profile, and then go to activity, and then go to not friends, but you.
Activity. Oh, recent
Yeah, for
activity.
me, it's
hmm
more. Yeah.
Um. So, oh yeah, okay. So hit more activity. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. So yeah, so I watched a few things. Watched two. I'll go in order of the year in which these came out. I watched a movie that came out in 1953 called Jeopardy. It was actually pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily go and rush and watch it. It's like this thriller that is like so sort of convoluted in a way, where it's a family that goes on vacation. They go to like a sort of an isolated beach to go fishing, and basically there's like a boardwalk, and the father gets stuck underneath the boardwalk, and the tide's coming up, and he's if they have to get him help before like I don't know a few hours, or else he's going to drown. Um, so it's a little son and his wife are there. The wife has to go and get help, so she drives off to go get help. She finally finds a man to help her, and it turns out he's an escaped convict.
Oh,
Um, and that's like the movie is like the two stories of like the father and little son trying to keep him from drowning, and now the wife who's been like essentially kidnapped by this convict. And it's sort of silly and hokey, but it kind of works actually. Like I sort of enjoyed it
oh,
because it just I
cool.
feel like it's got all the elements of like kind of a good thriller. Um, but so anyway, I watched that. Then I watched 2 years later, 1955, Marty. You ever hear that movie? Kind of
Is it
famous.
like Marty?
I,
Yes, like the name, like Martin, Martin's nickname,
hmm Okay,
I
Marty.
haven't heard it.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it. Yeah, it was sweet. It's I heard of it because the main actor is Ernest Borgnine, which is a name maybe you've heard. He was like way before our time when he was most active. But I know we all know him because I think this literally was his last role before he died. He was the voice of Mermaid Man in SpongeBob.
Really? That's so funny.
Yeah, and that was like he did like little cameos like that when he was like an old man. But in the 50s, he was like he won the Oscar for Best Actor for this movie. That's how I heard of it. Is what I mean to say.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it was pretty good. It's like Marty is this. He's like 34, I think. It keeps coming up, and he's unmarried and he lives with his mom. And basically, everyone around, it's kind of awful. Everyone around him is like, Marty, you should be ashamed of yourself. Why don't you settle down with a nice girl, blah, blah, blah. But essentially, it's like him. It's like a romance movie. It's like him finding a girl, really, is what it's about. So it's kind of sweet. Then two more things. I watched Conclave, which came out like last year.
Oh yeah,
Ralph
that's like
Fiennes.
that's like a.
Yeah, it's sort of being talked about right now.
Mhm.
And I felt. Have either of you guys seen it? Conclave?
I haven't
No.
seen it. I just know about it. It's with
Okay.
the guy. It's Voldemort's in it.
Yeah,
Oh.
Ralph Fiennes. Voldemort. Yeah. And I felt compelled to watch it because I remember I saw a trailer for it, like, I don't know, 6 months ago or something, and thought that movie looks like it's kind of going to suck. I had like this bad feeling about it. I just thought it looked sort of cheesy and whatever.
Mhm.
And then it came out and it's like gotten really good reviews and like people really
Yeah,
like
it got
it. And I was
nominated
like,
for some Oscars.
yeah, I got on it. Right. It's like, it's got nominations. And I was like, well, shit, like, I guess I'm going to watch this. And it was okay. Like, I feel like it's a very good looking movie. Great use of color, like great, I guess I'll say shot composition. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but just a very good looking movie. Ralph Fiennes is pretty excellent in it, actually. Like, I think it's like I don't know if, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the nomination was for Best Actor. I have to look because he's, I think, very, very good. The story itself, to me, I won't spoil it because it's sort of a mystery thing. It's like so, in my opinion, it like doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be. Like, there's this final, like, it's like information being revealed and understanding more about the characters, which is all great. Like, I love that shit, give me like a slow burn, whatever. But like everything that happens, to me, it felt like is like divorced from each other. Like, there's all these reveals and all these things that happen. I'm like, okay, like, what does that have to do with anything else? And like, it's just sort of like these random things happening. And then even in like sort of the final moments of the movie, which I'm like, okay, like, if it, I got this feeling of like, as the movie ended, I was like, if you wanted to talk about this, like when the movie finally kind of pulls back and it's like, oh, this is what we've been talking about the whole time. I'm like, you haven't talked about it. Like, you just dropped something on me in the final moment. It's just very weird. Anyway, so I don't know if I'd recommend it or not. Like, recommend
I was
it
about to ask
if you
that.
want it.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
seems like
like
an Oscar bait movie.
a little bit. Like, there's like I'm conflicted. Like, I guess I would recommend it to you guys because I'm like, I'd like to talk. I'd like to get your impressions. But because it's like there's definitely things that are really good. And I said that like Ralph Fiennes' performance is very good. There's some other great performances. Stanley Tucci's in it is pretty good. Like, there's some good performances. It's like a great concept. The whole thing is it's this papal conclave. So it's the Pope has just died and all these bishops are like sequestered, like closed off to the outside world. So like, it's all these men, like it's very kind of political and they don't, there's certain rules about what they can and can't talk about. And like, that's a great, it's a great sort of opening for like a thriller, or a mystery or whatever. But I don't know, just the story itself to me, it feels like it is a little lost. Like, it doesn't really know what it wants to talk about. So anyway,
Hmm. Yeah,
um,
it was on my radar. I have it on my watch list. So
yeah,
yeah.
like you won't feel cheated if you watch it. It's not like I walked away thinking that sucked. I walked away a little bit disappointed, maybe,
Mhm.
like, because like I said, like, there's some actors that are doing like overtime. There's some great cinematography, like the directing, like, seems very competent. I don't know who did it, but it's like just like sort of the story itself is doesn't really work for me.
Hmm.
But then one more, and this is a hard recommend. I love this movie. Beautiful from Inarritu, Alejandro
Oh
Inarritu.
yeah, that's like one of his
Yeah,
first movies.
yeah, relatively
Oh,
early one. Have you either of you guys seen it?
no, it's on my watch list though.
Yeah,
Like
I've
I've
heard
heard
Yeah,
about
it's so this is on the theme of things being well. I guess this movie I wouldn't call this movie overrated. I think it might be a little underrated because after I watched it, I went and
Oh.
looked up. I never like looking up like themes or anything, but I like looking up the reception of a movie, and pretty divisive, I guess. Like it didn't like critically sort of tepid response, but I think it's like I won't give anything away about the actual plot. But like it's so there's like so many like disparate threads, like so many like bizarre additions to the story that it's almost like this shouldn't all work together. But man, I think it does. I think it's like just such a masterful like mashing together of so many like crazy elements. That it just yeah, it's like it's so ambitious, but I think it works really, really well. So
Our,
that's yeah,
our boy
it was
Bard
great.
M's in it too.
Yeah, and he's great, of course. I love him. He's always great.
Mhm.
It's really like he's the main character, and really the whole story. Really, it's very much following him. He's like,
it.
um, yeah. I guess very quick. Oh, it's just it's he's a character. It's in Barcelona, I believe. This is a Spanish language film, um, and he is sort of a um, like he's sort of involved in like the Barcelona underground a little bit. Like he's always kind of got like he's almost like a he kind of makes connections for people. Like, you know, he's involved. Like, he's got a contact on the police force, so he goes to the police and says, "Hey, I've got a bunch of guys that want to like sell their stuff on the street. Tell me where I can let them do it, and you know where you won't bother them." So then he goes back to the guys who are selling stuff and say, "Look, you know, give me this money and I'll get the police off your back, whatever." So there's that element. And then he's like taking care of his kids, and there's just it's like kind of his I don't know, just like all the different elements of his life kind of mashing up against each other.
I
Hmm.
mean, it was already
Really
a
good.
hard. It was already a recommend like on my watch list. Definitely gonna still be on my watch list.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't talk you out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, that was I think that was all my watches. On the subject of since you talked about a book, Chuck, I can talk about a book I'm reading. Tell me,
Yeah.
did I already mention The Wager? Did I talk about that on here?
I don't think you have, unless
Okay.
Yeah, I
Brennan
don't think so.
listens to you better
Nope.
than I do.
I
Uh,
don't think I remember the
yeah,
wager.
really
David Grann.
cool. Yes, that's the one. If you have any interest in nonfiction, I don't read a ton of nonfiction, but I picked this up. Really wild story. I'm only like halfway through, but there's like a prologue at the beginning that sort of tells you the story. So I'm not giving anything away, but it's like in uh, to look up. I'm forgetting some of the key points. The Wager. It's the British Navy. It sounds so nerdy, but you'll be with me. In the like 1740s, I think, something like that. It's this ship basically that's going off. That's like this man of war or something. Some massive like naval ship is going like from the UK to the other side of the world to go and attack like a Spanish ship. Essentially, it doesn't really matter. But they end up shipwrecking like off the like in South America. Um, and back in the UK, you know, eventually the ship never comes back and they think, oh, you know, well, it must have wrecked and they were right and everyone's dead. Like 6 months later, a little, uh, like raft pulls up to somewhere with civilization. And they say, we're the surviving crew of this ship, the Wager. Everyone else is dead. We're the only survivors, and they're welcomed back home like as heroes. Like it's this incredible story that they braved the elements, they survived the shipwreck, and they made it back home. Then, like another 6 months later, another little raft pulls up, and they say, "No, no, 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 no. We are the other half of the crew of the Wager. All those guys that just came back, they're mutineers. They all betrayed us and left us for dead. They're the bad guys, and now here we are, and we are the heroes." and it's like the story about like where I'm at. It's about them like surviving, but at some point, and still no one knows because it's all history. No one knows exactly what happened, but it's about like trying to piece together. Okay, like who did what here? Who stabbed who in the back, and like who rolled up first, and what's going on. So it's sort of like this mystery, but like this unsolved mystery. But it's like really like it's written very kind of plainly and in a way that's like easy to read. So it's pretty cool if like you kind of are looking for I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, no, that sounds
that sounds
interesting.
cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna add this to my Goodreads. Everything is like adding into it.
You got to, otherwise I never remember what I want to watch.
No,
I don't
yeah. But
or
I
read
was
or
just more
anything.
making fun of my like 10 or 20 years ago. I would just write this down, but now I'm just like, oh, there's an app for this.
Yeah.
I can put this on my app.
Yeah. And then I can put stars next to it,
Yeah,
and all
I
my
can
friends
review
can
the.
see it.
Yeah, they can see how pretentious I am. Woo!
Right? Everyone knows I read a book.
Yeah, or I watched a movie that no one ever talks about.
Yeah, right.
Oh, jeez. All right, but Dan, I
Oh
was gonna
shit,
say you can
yeah.
keep talking. You can tell us.
Yeah. It's hard to talk and look at the same time. But
Mhm.
I also started playing a new video game that's really cool. God of War
Okay.
Ragnarok. To
Oh,
keep it less pretentious. You ever play that? Came out a
yes.
few years ago.
Yeah, I
Wait,
finished it. I didn't
Ragnarok?
like it. Yeah, the newest one.
What is it? Yeah, the
Oh,
newest
God of
one, which came
War.
out. Yeah, I never played it because I loved not the first one, but the fourth one or whatever. The like first
No,
of
the
the
one
kind of
before it.
reboots.
Yeah.
The one before it. But literally, Ragnarok came out the day I moved into my place that I live in now, and it was like just in the midst of all the chaos. I was like, I'm probably not going to get to this game for a long time, but I finally am, and it's quite good as I expected.
Nice. I didn't like it as much.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to.
If
Hopefully,
you
I'll have
ever
it done
finish it,
soon. We can talk about it.
we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Because I'm liking it, but I don't. I like totally. I didn't want to know what anyone thought ahead of time. I mean, it's fine. You just told me you didn't like it as much, but like I didn't watch any reviews or anything. I wanted to go in pretty blind, so I don't even yet know if people like it or not. Really.
No, okay. Spoiler alert, people like it. It's
Okay.
just
Okay. That's sort of what I assumed.
yeah,
Um,
I might be like the quiet minority.
right. You think it's overrated, perhaps?
Oh yeah, that's the word of the podcast.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it really is, isn't it? We love that to have the opportunity to say something's overrated.
Call something overrated. The
Yeah.
movie we saw today definitely underrated.
Oh wow, yeah, that's an interesting one.
Hmm
Sort of a flip. I'm just vamping here as I scroll through my letterbox.
Well,
I don't know. What do you guys want to do?
you can
What's
give
that?
us some ideas. Like what have you been cranking to watch?
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I never know. I literally sit down on my couch and just I decide in the moment. And so I
All
hate
right,
planning.
well,
What are you guys
you
in the
want to
mood for?
do something crazy? Well,
What?
either
Yeah.
I do this. I do this on my letterbox. If I really need to watch a movie in a pinch, I just go
Yeah.
my watch list and press shuffle, and whatever the top movie is, I'm
Oh,
watching. Yeah.
I didn't know that was an option.
hmm
Yeah, that's a good
Where do I
idea.
press that? Where's that
I
button?
so you go to your watch list, you see all your
Yep,
movies, you sort
I do.
by, and then you go shuffle. It should be the third option.
Oh, yeah.
hmm
I don't want to watch that movie. But this is good. This is
Yeah,
Just
giving
keep doing it until it's a good one.
yeah,
no, you
this
have
is
to do
giving
it.
me
No, you god damn it.
no, no.
It's like the shuffle button on on Spotify. Like no one actually uses it for what it's meant for.
You're right. This is giving me a new perspective, though. This is good. This is good. Um,
And they're
I'll
like,
tell you right now. Part of the problem is I try to think of things, pick things that are like a little bit different from what we've done, like either a different place or a different genre,
mm-hmm.
whatever. Like, um, so I don't know. I put these limits on myself. I should have listened to Memoir of a Snail and no, don't put limits on yourself. That's my problem.
True.
Yeah, but not today.
Another interesting thing you can do is
Uh-huh.
you can go to your thing and then sort by popularity. So like a film that
Mm,
you're like people usually bug you for, like, oh, I can't believe you haven't seen blah.
yeah, that's how I'll try it. That's how I lived my life for like the first 20 years of my life. So I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
not revisit that. Number one on my list is Oppenheimer in terms of popularity, which I know both of you guys have seen.
I'll
Yeah,
watch it
I
again.
still
I'll watch
haven't.
it again.
I
Eh,
wouldn't.
I wouldn't. No, I'll watch it on my own time. Let me see popularity. Yeah, this is interesting. I guess. Let's see what the least popular thing is. That's the real game.
That's something that is going to be hard to find.
Oh, yeah, maybe I should know
Yeah,
that then.
I have a lot of movies like that where I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is like nowhere.
Hmm.
La 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 la.
Yeah. Lots of dead air.
I would love to watch The Brutalist. It's a
Yeah.
longer movie,
Is
and
that
I give
only
you
is that movie in theaters now?
no. I think it's on streaming now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
The
and it's been
Brutalist.
something that's been on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this
Okay.
is Dan's
Fine.
choice.
I'm just giving a
Oh,
recommendation. Dang.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Brendan. God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everyone, yeah. All right.
Wait
chill,
I'll,
till
dude.
next week until your turn.
I almost saw The Brutalist in theaters. I almost went and saw it in theaters, and then I saw it, this thing's almost 4 hours long.
yes, it's a
Yeah.
very long
Brutal.
movie. It's very,
Yeah.
very long. No, that's probably why Brendan said something. You didn't want to watch a 4 hour
Yeah.
long movie.
I don't think I have time for this.
Yeah.
Uh, hmm.
All right. I'm gonna go through
How about
I'm gonna go through your
no, no,
watch
no.
list,
I've
Dan.
got one. I've got one. I figured it out. I found
Okay.
one.
Sure.
Let's watch The Promised Land, 2023.
The
The
Promise.
Promised Land.
Yeah, starring Mads Mikkelsen, director Nikolai. I don't know how to say his name.
Okay,
I'm saying
You said
okay,
Nikolai
Mads
cool.
Wurzel.
Nicholson? Yeah. Let's fucking go.
Yeah,
That's my boy.
Oh, this sounds cool.
Yeah. That sounds really
Nobleman.
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. See,
So
Dan.
that's
Well, that's
yeah.
all. If
Hey,
I have to be
Except
an
look the
asshole,
wait. No. It wasn't you. It was Brendan supporting me. You did.
yeah.
You were no help at all.
well, who was the catalyst?
Yeah. What's
Who's the
that?
catalyst?
Who was the catalyst? Brendan.
Yes.
Brendan
No,
was the
I was
catalyst.
the
Was the
catalyst.
support? No.
No,
You were a
I was
distraction
the
and an
no.
obstacle.
I was the thing that
No.
started the entire
All
argument.
no, all the time that I spent had to listening to you just blah 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 was time I wasn't looking at movies. Okay, that's the problem.
I was giving you
Exactly,
helpful
Chuck.
advice.
Yeah,
Accept
no, yeah,
your
I have to
loss.
give you some credit. You did teach me a little bit about Letterboxd. That's true. It's just be a nice
See?
tutorial for people. Um,
Yeah, that's
but
all I am.
you
It's
know,
just a tutorial for Letterbox.
right?
I don't
Yeah,
even get. I don't
that
even
should be
fucking
the
get paid by them. I'm doing this
the
shit for free.
subtitle for this podcast. Learn about Letterboxd.
Yeah, and Criterion.
Yeah.
I went to a
And
Criterion.
Criterion.
I went to a Barnes and Noble this weekend that had the most
Mhm.
Criterion I've ever seen in my life. I thought I died. I went to
Wow,
heaven.
Yeah.
that's
And you got.
so. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brendan.
Oh, no, I was gonna say. I think Chuck, you got Videodrome, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of movies that I've been like.
Nice.
I want to watch that.
Yeah, I want to
That's
watch it
so
as well. That's why I bought it.
It's so dangerous though, because like literally every time I see a stack of like a shelf full of Criterion movies, or I'm just on their website, I come so close. I mean, I could literally spend $500 without even blinking an eye.
Yep,
You know, like going through
I
their
feel
movies.
kind of the same way.
Yeah, it's like I can't. I have to stop myself because as soon as I'm not judging you. Like I'm gonna be, but like I
Oh
just
no,
feel myself. Oh, I'll
I
just
spent
get one.
I spent $100 on all the shit I got.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I'm actually good for you. Like that's some restraint. $100. That's pretty fucking good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I guess maybe you're right. Because I was also I got a couple books too. I'm trying to read. I'm trying
Oh,
to like expand my frontal lopex,
Yeah.
whatever.
right. Yeah. Whatever part of the Lopex is
Yeah,
associated with
I'm
That
trying to
was
get
a
the
great
books.
Barnes and Nobles, by the way.
Yeah, that was a really nice. Me and Brendan went on a little date there.
Mm. Oh, adorable. Which one was it? Or I guess maybe you don't want to tell me where it was. You don't want to get dox
Yeah, it
yourself.
was on yeah. What's that? Whatever the
Yeah,
president's address is, Pennsylvania Ave.
right. Yeah, it was exactly 3 blocks from my condo on the west side. Whatever.
That's good. But yeah, no, yeah, watch The Promised Land with Mads Mikkelsen. It is directed by Nikolai Arkel.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Mm.
Yes,
2023.
yeah,
Excellent
he
pronunciation.
hasn't made this. Yeah, he hasn't made that many movies. Oh, he made The Dark
Oh no.
Tower. I'll pass.
Oh no.
Pass. No, I'm kidding. People can change.
Maybe
Um,
that was his. Well, yeah, you always talk about like you get these great directors that they do like one Marvel movie. You know, they
yeah,
just
like
got to
he's
get that one
like a
paycheck.
YTV.
You know.
Yeah, You have to get your paycheck. You have to make your money so you can make
Right.
the shit that you actually want to do.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
respect that. I respect that like crazy actually, because that's literally like
Yeah.
yeah, that's like like work hard, play hard. Even though I hate that
Yeah.
expression, there's a
I,
better one.
yeah. Well, really, it's like this is an expression, but it's like fuck. Like we all work jobs. I'm not proud of fucking every day of my work. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I've got some shit that I worked on that I was like, yeah, I did that, and I'm not proud of it. But what can I do? I need my salary.
yeah, exactly. That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, on that note, check us out anywhere you can get a podcast. Yeah, watch The Promised Land, and we'll talk about it. And maybe you'll agree with what we say. Maybe you'll disagree. Maybe you'll have
Yeah.
a spiritual awakening. Maybe you won't.
Maybe you'll agree
Exactly.
with some of us, disagree with others. It's just
Yeah.
a whole
Yeah,
spectrum of opinions here
yeah,
because we're so diverse.
that's all we care about. So yeah, this is Chuck, and yeah, these are my beautiful co-hosts.
Thank you. I'm Daniel, and I'm beautiful.
Thanks. I'm Brendan, and I'm beautiful.
Oh, I'm beautiful. You're like a little. You're like the ugly, like the thing. I'm
Oh
beautiful.
God.
All right. Well, thank you all. Bye bye. Stop recording.